Hello and welcome to In Stitches. Time for a little bit of play today. I've got this toy Pfaff Tipmatic sewing machine here. It's one of the machines that I picked up at the auction you might have seen previously in one of my previous videos. And as you can see from the name here, it gives it away. It's in German here, electric sewing machine for children. If we have a look at the top here, we can see it in English there, little battery powered toy. And I'm going to take a look at it for the first time today. I've not unpacked it and I've got no idea what condition it's in. Apart from, its physical condition, looks fine. And this machine's based on the venerable Pfaff Tipmatic, made by Fuchs. Is that Fuchs? Is that how you would pronounce that? Is that a German company? Looks like it could be. But yep, what do we got there? $29.99. Okay, and that should just pop up here. See, it's nicely packed in there. Got this polystyrene here with the little foot controller in it there. We've got a little wallet here. Let's have a wee look at that. We've got some little pair of scissors there, some pins, a little bit of thread, maybe some spare needles here, buttons, and looks like the previous owner, Samara, room for Richmond. Now Richmond's a small town not far from here, so I'm assuming this is a local machine. And yeah, if Samara, you're watching and you were in room 14 at a Richmond school and you remember this, yeah, get in touch. I'd love to talk to you about it and, to find out what you thought of the machine when you were a little girl. Yeah, nice little kit there. Photech. Yeah, not sure if would that have come with it? I guess so. Not sure. What else have we got here? We've got the manual here. So we have 2 D-size batteries. It shows you how to install the batteries there. Needle threading. Just a very simple guide there. Chain stitch by the look of that. It's showing you how to finish off the chain stitch there at the end of the seam. Tension. Yeah, it's just basically showing you tension too loose, tension too tight. Yep, okay. Now I haven't cleaned the machine, so apologies for that. I just thought I'd grab it as it was and see what we've got. Now there is a slight difference on the box actually. If you can see, now if we compare the two here, you've got the machine itself, and you notice there's no little guide. If we have a look there on the box, you can see there's a little metal guide here, and that's not present on this machine here. So I'm not sure what's going on there, whether they decided they didn't need it. It's definitely not missing or broken, there's no hole there, so just a little bit dusty there. It's not too bad. Needs a good clean. Pretty straightforward. I've got a foot lifter here. You can see the feed dogs under there. There. Okay. I can see a problem. Let's get you in for a closer look there. You can see the feed dogs just down under here. Now they should feed when I turn the machine. And you can see that there's nothing happening at all there. So there's a problem straight away. So I guess, there's something broken in here. It looks like this might turn into a repair video rather than just a general look at this little toy here. Let's start then by taking the base off, I guess would be a good start. See how we can get into this machine here. But yeah, pretty basic. There's no buttons here at all. You know, they're just false buttons there to make it look like the Pfaff Tipmatic there. There doesn't appear to be a on-off switch or anything like that. There's the hand wheel here, little spool at the top, little spool there, little cap on it, nothing around the back. Okay, a couple of screws. Let's take it apart, and see if it's actually repairable. Yeah, the hand wheel doesn't feel overly smooth. There's something, you can hear it too. It's a little bit clicky. Anyway, let's start by removing the base here. What's this? Is that? Oh yeah, there's a few bits and pieces. There's a spare needle. There's a needle that someone's used there. A couple of needle threaders. Yeah, I wonder if that's what happened, and when Samara had it, it is broken, and she's just, you know, got rid of it. It was part of that collection, that big sewing machine collection at that auction. I'll leave a link in the video description to that video, the auction video. There's a lot of antique and vintage machines there. And this, as I say, is one that I picked up. All these screws are the same size, so we don't have to worry too much about. There we go. Alright. It's a little chain stitcher. And you can tell it's a chain stitcher because there's no bobbin. Let's have a close look here. Ah, well, yeah, the whole bottom shaft's not moving, so there's a linkage broken, I would say, a gear more than likely. But if I turn this, you can see here there's this little plastic arm here. Normally on a more robust sort of system, this would be metal and it would rotate. So this little hook here would rotate around, but this one just oscillates by the look of that, back and forward there. You can see the feed mechanism doing its thing there. That's the feed here, this sort of frame here. It's got the feed dogs on it. And then you've got the little, this is the looper here, this point here. You can see it moving back and forward there. Yeah, jamming. Yeah, I can see this plastic cam here is broken. You can see that it's got a crack right through it there. So that won't be helping things. And then we've got something that's disconnected, I would say in the top end, because when I turn the wheel, this shaft, you can see that this gear here is not turning. That's on the vertical shaft that runs, you know, down here. So this vertical shaft's not turning, so more than likely it'll be the gear that meets up in this area here. That's not, because the needle bars work, you know, that's going up and down there, needle bar. So it's just a connection between the horizontal shaft here, which will have a gear on it, and the vertical shaft here. More than likely a broken gear, I would say. While we're here, might as well try and fix it, I guess. There's the little drive motor there. So the drive motor drives the vertical gear, this gear here on the vertical shaft, and that links up with this horizontal shaft here and the one at the top there. Take these two screws here out. And Does it separate somehow? That comes off. I'm pretty sure, yeah, the base will come off here by the look of that. These 4 screws, I would say. I mean, normally I wouldn't sort of take the time to fix something like this. That's 1, 2, so 2 there, and another 2 here. Oh, this is a little bit outside of my territory really when it comes to fixing sewing machines. I don't normally fix toys, although I do have a few toys that I've fixed up here and there, mainly electronic toys. Yeah, that comes off there, so it's just made in 2 parts there. That's the vertical gear there, and we should be able to separate this somehow. Should be able to get that. Does that just unclip? I would say that just clips on, does it? Yeah. Let's get a spudger here, plastic. You can see that the plastic's yellowed quite a bit as we get in here. Oops, that should be back there like that. That's the lid off. Probably should take that needle out. It's digging into the desk there. I'll just whip that out there. Now, oh yep, 2 more screws up here. See if this is actually repairable, easily repairable. There we go, it's apart. All right, okay, what have we got? Oh, there's the foot bar. Oh, you can see that this here has just popped up and disengaged, you see. I think yes, this little gear's broken. I can see a crack in it. Yeah, see that crack there in the gear? And it's just allowed that gear to slip up. In fact, you can pull that whole shaft out. And there we have the broken gear. Now, is that repairable? It's actually breaking. It's breaking here as well, so that the whole thing's going to split. It's just holding together. I'm not sure whether glue would hold that. I guess I could try super gluing that together and then installing it back on the shaft, or I mean just glue it back onto the shaft. It's, you know, I would say it'd be a press fit onto the shaft here. It actually looks like the plastic might have shrunk. Plastics can do that, and it's the cause of gears splitting actually on non-toy sewing machines. The plastic outgasses, and it's a chemical reaction, and over time the gear outgasses the plastic material, and the gear shrinks, and because it can't shrink too much because of the metal shaft, it just ends up splitting. So, you know, even if I push that really hard together, you can see there's still a little gap there. So I would say that the plastic's actually shrunk there by the look of that. What I'm tempted to do is to just glue this onto the shaft at the right position there. Here's the needle bar drive. Fairly simple sort of setup. Fairly simple mechanical this here can only turn because the foot bar has come out, and the foot bar slides up through the little locator there to stop this from turning, so that can't turn anymore. That's clever, I suppose, a fairly basic design. Not really made to last, but you know, it is just a plastic toy after all. So anyway, let's try the glue scenario here. The only thing I don't like about doing this is the fact that once this is glued onto the top of the shaft, it's on there for good. And you know, if it was ever to be repaired again, the gear would have to be pulled off. Probably it would be destructive after it had been glued on there, and you know, would no longer be repairable unless another one of these gears was able to be sourced. I guess you could 3D print one, but you know, you'd have to go to all the trouble of actually designing the part, you know, for a one-off to be 3D printed. Actually, I might put the base back on just temporarily, because I want to make sure that this lines up. And I don't think actually that crack there is going to affect the machine's capability at all. I don't think, not unless it was under a little bit of force, but I'm not going to go through that at this stage. Let's just see if we can get it sewing. Okay, so I'll just temporarily put this back together. So you've got the motor gear here. That connects to the larger of these two gears, and this little gear here, the inner one, connects to the lower shaft gear here. Put a couple of screws back in here. One there. Is that enough? Yeah, that's enough to hold it there. And then we can make sure that this here, that's actually interfacing there. Okay. And then should be able to just put this gear on the top there. So first of all, get some glue. Got to get it on before it dries too, and it's fast drying. Yeah, that's going to work, but that's quite split there, isn't it? Now that is just super glue, so I don't expect too much. But you can see there that there's quite a gap there, and the gear is quite snug on that shaft there, so it looks like it's shrunk quite a bit. If that's what's happened to it, just checking the meshing down in here, that looks okay there. Okay. I'll leave that to dry. That could, for super glue to dry properly, I think does take a little while. I'll just put it aside and come back a little bit later. Okay, the glue's dried there. I'm not 100% convinced this is going to last very long at all, but I'm just hoping I can at least get, a few stitches out of the machine here. And you'll notice there that I also took this cage out. It's pretty easy to remove there. Pop that back in there. Yeah, removing this whole assembly here just made it a bit easier to deal with the gluing, and I clamped it in the vise just to try and make the gear hold together a little bit better with the glue. Put it back together here, see if we can get any stitches at all out of this. I guess I'll have to set the timing. Sort of catching on the gaps there where the gear has shrunk, I would say there. Anyway, let's see if we can get just a few stitches out of this. I just had one screw holding the top on there. One. Press a bar up through there, and then I think I can just go ahead and reassemble here. I've also noticed a very small crack. See if I can get it. Camera there. There's a very small crack in that small gear. Not sure if you can see that. It's at around about 12 o'clock, just before 12. It's seen better days, but anyway. Now, I guess we'll have to set the timing. Now, does it take a standard sewing machine needle? I assume it does. Oh, I forgot to put the little button, the little false button back in here. I'll do that. I'll give this a quick clean before I put it back together. You can see where it's yellowed. It's been sitting in the sun. Okay, just have to make sure that the little black button, this false button here, is put back in. Right, timing. Let's get the, so the needle I took out of it looks like a 15 by 1, 15x1, and I would say that's probably an original needle, I guess. It's just got that look about it, an old needle. So let's install that. Okay, let's check that timing. Miles out. So we just need to make sure this hook here, little hook down in here, comes in to the needle at the right time. So I'm just looking at the feed dogs to make sure I'm turning it in the right direction. And if I look on the hand wheel, there's actually an arrow there as well for direction. And it's reversed to a standard sewing machine. So, you know, I wonder if that's why that broke. Maybe it got jammed up. Turn the hand wheel, operating direction. Bring the needle down, get a little bit of needle bar rise there. And then turn this in operating direction. Until it just comes in the right place there. And I'll just tighten that provisionally there just to double check that. No, it's coming in too late. Basically just getting the needle bar rising a certain amount to form the loop, and then making sure the looper comes through at the right time there. And that might still be a little bit too late. That should work. I can't see why it wouldn't. I think, yeah. Okay, so this is basically going to be a fail because what's happening is the timing's changing. Every time this comes around to this large split here, it's skipping a tooth on here. So the timing is changing. Let's just double check that. That one is okay. You can see the little split there that's just come past the gear. That's not slipping one tooth, but this one I think is. Yep, yep. So that split there is straddling two teeth down in there, whereas it should mesh every tooth. It's meshing every second tooth just at that point there. So, you know, this is going to be a fail, unfortunately. But yeah, I can't really think of an easy way of getting this going, unfortunately, without, you know, having a replacement gear. Yeah, if I can find something off another machine, maybe might be able to fit something to it. The other option could be to decrease the diameter of the shaft at the top here to try and get this gear to fit better. Or obviously 3D print something, which, you know, I don't have a 3D printer, and, you know, obviously you'd have to measure this all up and design it before it's printed, this little gear here. So Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. But let's put it back together. I'm sure the machine will feed, at least feed some fabric through. So let's do that, and we may even power it up, and see if the motor still works. So let's put the back panel back on. That's the foot lift lever. You can hear rattling around there. Get our 4 screws in there. I'm just reading on the box behind me there. It says battery driven by 2 1.5 volt mono cells, working light. Now I've not seen a bulb at all in here. I can't find one. There's no wiring leading to any bulb. Spare needle and threader. Adjustable stitch length. I've also not seen any adjustment for stitch length either. Hand or foot control. Radio and TV suppressed. So there must be a capacitor in the foot controller, would it be? I mean, would it need it for a little DC motor? I guess, possibly. Okay, that's those 4 there done, and then we need these two here to hold the front and the base on. We'll have a close look at the instructions in a second and just see whether you can see any reference to a stitch length control. Actually, let's do that while I've got the bottom off, just in case we need to have a wee look for it. Now, I can't see any mention of stitch length adjustment there. But stitch length control, actually I can show you on this little Singer 20 here. It's in a bit of a state, this machine. It's actually a customer's machine, and it's seized up, so yeah, keep an eye out for another video where I show you how to unseize a machine. But stitch length control is normally controlled by a little lever on these little toys. This is also a chain stitch machine. It's got a metal hook here, made to last a lot longer than the little Pfaff reproduction there. But that's a sign of the times, I guess. These were made from about the 1920s right through until the 1970s. But yes, the stitch length control is basically just this lever here, and it just relies on a spring to return it. And if you bring this little lever down, it actually gives more distance between this little cam and the feed driver there. So that'll be a long stitch length. And then as you bring this cam up, you can see the gaps getting smaller, and that gives you a shorter stitch length. And there's no problem with that because it's really just relying on this spring here to return it. So that's what I'm looking for, a little mechanism like that in here, but I can't see anything like that. This is the feed dog, the underside of the feed dog. That's sort of squarish, the squarish shaped piece, or rectangular. You can see it moving there. And it's controlled by a cam down in here. And I can't see any adjustment there. It's direct driven. It's not spring returned. So yep, slight differences. I think maybe, you know, there was a different model, and this one doesn't have the stitch length or the light. Okay, I've got my little power supply here set to 3 volts, 2 times 1.5 volt batteries, and I've got a negative terminal here and the positive terminal there. Let's see if we get any motor action here. There's a little controller. Nothing. Oh yeah? It's trying to drive. Yeah, it's having trouble driving. The motor's running, but I think the little gear is slipping on the shaft there. So, yeah, unfortunately this machine's in a sorry state. I've got some other toys actually. I know I have a similar sort of machine. It's not a Pfaff, but it's a plastic toy machine, and it's got a similar issue with the broken gear, I think, by the feel of it. So anyway, I'll put this back together, and yeah, made in Hong Kong. Well, it's a shame that it didn't turn out to get this machine working. Sometimes I don't know whether to publish a video where we have a failure of the repair, but I think, you know, it's worthwhile just having a wee look and seeing if it can be repaired, and I don't see any reason why I shouldn't put it up. I mean, it's part of, you know, the repair business is you get the odd machine that can't be repaired, whether it's a proper sewing machine or a toy like this one. Does that just, yeah, that should just fit in there like that. That's it. Pop this back on here. Let's see if it will actually feed here. Obviously I don't have it threaded, but let's see. Direction this way. Oh look, it's feeding. Oh, not really. Is it? It sometimes feeds. Come on, you can do it. There, look. Oh, get a couple of stitches. Oh, it doesn't even like help. Oh, it's a sad state of affairs. Look, hardly any foot pressure at all there. Needle doesn't come up far either, does it? Yeah, I'm not sure if I would subject any child to a toy sewing machine. I think, personally, I would just sit them down in front of a standard machine and let them go for it, you know, under supervision, obviously. Oh well, that's it for this one. It was unsuccessful, unfortunately, but gave it a go. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to my patrons on Patreon, and we'll catch you in the next video.